It's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. It is Friday, May 30th, and I'm going to jump right into it. So this video, basically a continuation of the same things we've been talking about for the most part. So current budget hearings have been going on. School committee meetings, which are very important. We just appointed a new interim superintendent, Latifah Phillips, and she will have a one-year contract. Watching the last school committee meeting, they do not have her contract prepared yet, but that's something they're still working on. Of course, the issue with that investigation into allegations of inappropriate conduct and all the other things that transpired at Pittsfield High School, people want to see that report. They want to know what's happening. And that's been an ongoing discussion. And look, here's the thing with a lot of that too, because it riled the community up, and you can't stick the stick in the hornet's nest like that and then just run away and say there's nothing to see here and expect the people, the residents, to not be concerned, to not want to know more. The chairman of the school committee, Mr. Cameron, feels like there's legal issues in what can and cannot be released. There was one of the meetings where even Mayor Marchetti, who sits on the school committee, said, I don't think the public's going to like what they see. There's not much to see there, kind of thing. He insinuated to that. So, but if people remember correctly, I mean, when that went down, and it started with the arrest of a dean of students for allegedly being involved in a cocaine distribution ring. That's what triggered it. Then allegations of inappropriate conduct started showing up online. Then we saw situations at other schools where the media, the local paper, jumped on that and put articles out saying, teachers are put on administrative leave or paras were put on administrative leave. I don't know what the whole situation was, but at different schools. And then we just never heard anything again. And at the end of this investigation, so the Pittsfield School Committee hired a law firm, a private law firm, to investigate, I believe, specifically the allegations at Pittsfield High School, and came back with a finding of unsubstantiated claims. Well, when you rile the community up like that, you got to let people know, what was this then? What was this? That when you have allegations so serious, and then some of those teachers have returned to the positions they had, shouldn't there be some kind of explanation to the community? I mean, that to me, that's common sense, because you got everyone so upset with something so serious. So if these were made up stories by one person, what was this? If they're insisting that there's nothing to see here, what was it? Where did this stem from? Was this multiple students that, accused people? Was it not students? Was it a parent? Was it multiple parents? What was the situation? And again, when you had at that time, when it was getting media attention, it was obviously anything that involves children being hurt, people are going to go, whoa. And like I said, the local paper jumped all over that. They did an article about teachers at this school, at an elementary school, being put on administrative leave, and all sorts of stuff. And then we've never heard anything again. So I do believe that the community is owed an explanation, and they need to see something so this doesn't happen again. If they truly are unsubstantiated claims and something else stemmed to cause that, then let's see that. Let's see that so it doesn't happen again. Because people really do deserve to know, and especially parents who have students in the school system. So one of the things being discussed, because it is budget season and all these meetings going on, is the school budget, which is the biggest chunk of our city budget, and restructuring of schools, building maintenance, And it's amazing to me that how low our school enrollment is. We're under 5,000. And I remember in 2017 or 18, watching a video with one of our former superintendents, Mr. McCandless, Jake McCandless, and he was on PCTV talking to Donna Todd Rivers, and he projected, I think by 2027 or 2028, we would drop below 5,000. Well, fast forward to the pandemic, and I believe that one year we lost 5% of our students. So we are below 5,000 and have been for a few years now, as far as entire enrollment in the Pittsfield Public Schools. So when we're talking about maintenance and restructuring and more money and more money, I get that restructuring needs to happen. And since the decline, when GE left, and really when GE started leaving in the 80s, when they started leaving heavily, we saw it then. We were already on that downward trend from our height as far as families and enrollment in the Pittsfield Public Schools. So when I was in elementary school, my oldest sister, who's only a few years older than me, when she went to high school, it was grades 10, 11, and 12, and she went to Crosby Junior High. I went as the first year with my class to Crosby Middle School, and they moved ninth grade into high school and then restructured and created the middle school. And then after that, I don't know how many years it lasted as that. And then it was, again, because we are seeing constant decrease in our population. And then Crosby converted into an elementary school. And all of this is restructuring. One of the first jobs I had as a kid was at Jimmy's Restaurant. I think I was 14 when I got my work permit. And Mayor Smith, Charlie Smith, used to go in there all the time. And at that time, he was selling off school buildings. Pomeroy, there was a few of them. I don't know, 3, 4, 5 school buildings that were sold for $1 under certain stipulations, because again, we didn't need them, and the buildings needed maintenance, they needed upkeep, and our enrollment was decreasing. So that kind of goes back to what I said in a different video, the last video actually, about we're seeing a gentrification in the community. We're seeing a change of our demographic here. And to some people a couple people I should say, that messaged me that thought that was me insinuating there was some kind of conspiracy or something. I don't think it's like that. I just think that's the trend of the Berkshires right now. The Berkshires have become a hotspot again, which historically they were. Long before the industrial boom, the Berkshires was always a place for elite, wealthy people, going back to the beginning of the country. And you had a lot of families in this area, like Vanderbilts and Rockefellers and Carnegies, and you had a lot of money here. The Crane family, famous authors and artists and politicians used to visit here. I mean, it was the Berkshires. The industrial era did change it, and the era of Stanley Electric and GE definitely changed it. And prior to that, we had a lot of mills and we had things like that going on, but GE definitely changed it. And it became a different type of demographic here. We were a middle class community with blue collar workers, family, kids in every house. That's what it seemed like when I was a kid. There were kids everywhere. And things have changed now because the industry isn't here. The young people aren't here. It's gearing more towards summer, tourism, and retirement. And that's what I meant by that. Because yes, we have a lot of people living below the poverty line, and we have a lot of that because you have that transition. When gentrification happens in a community, there's a transition. It's not a poor community, meaning you don't see houses sitting up for sale for years and years and years where people can't even sell around here. You can't find a house. There's such a shortage in housing here that when something does become available, there's usually bidding wars on it. So it's not a matter of that. There's buyers for these properties, and they're getting top dollar. Look at the rents. They're getting top dollar. So that's what I meant by that. There's a change. Sorry, I got to tighten this. There's a change happening in the demographics here, and it's a gentrification. But if you didn't have people coming into the community, like Milltown, that has bought up a lot, what would have happened? where would Bosquets be? Where would Berkshire West be? Where would the country clubs be that they bought? Where would Lakeside Christian Camp be that they bought? They've invested a lot. And, I know like Lakeside Christian Camp on Pond or on Richmond Pond, that would have been snagged up by a private owner like the other camp was. A house goes there and a big fancy house and it's posted and that's it. But anyway, that is what we're seeing. And people do need to be proactive to protect the people that are here. But that's what I meant by that. We're seeing a change in the demographic here. And I see the future for Pittsfield being, a hot spot retirement community culture here. Tanglewood has expanded their schedule, and Mass Mocha and Barrington Stage. And you have so many things surrounding the arts, and you're seeing more and more notable people and performers coming into our area. And we saw it a lot during the pandemic. I did at the Pittsfield airport. It was amazing how many celebrities I saw coming through there and the traffic there. And the proof on that was in the last budget hearing, or the one before that, when the airport budget was being discussed. And, the airport does well. Landings are up. Everything is up for them. So I do think that's a key to it. And that's what I meant by all that. Sorry if I went on too long with that. So anyway, pay attention to these meetings. The budget hearings, the school committee, the city council meetings, they're important. They're very important. One of the things that was just discussed at the last city council meeting that's worth definitely talking about was July 1st changes coming to Airbnbs in Pittsfield. And the council did vote to send it back to Rules and Ordinance. But the new rules that are going to apply have, we're asking that it would be you could only have one Airbnb, 150 days out of the year. And the state law requires that you have to put in a sprinkler system as of July 1st, which sprinkler system, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, 20, 30 grand. I don't know. It depends on the size of the house, but and probably the type of the house, whether it's older, the construction of it. But you're talking a lot of money, and that just doesn't make sense. So the council did vote to amend it to where you could have two Airbnbs. As far as the sprinkler system thing, that's a state law that the state has pushed through. And apparently you can file on a case by case to see if there's a way to bypass that if you qualify. But that's through the state, I believe. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But that would be awful. Because I know people that Airbnb their own house and go camping sometimes just for that extra income. And a lot of it is to nurses, which is funny that was, I heard that and was shocked. And then it was talked about at the council. So I guess that's more common than I realized, traveling nurses into our area. That was interesting to me. But anyway, so that's one to pay attention to, because that did go back to Rules and Ordinance, and we'll see where that goes. I know some people messaged me about weeds at Pontoonic Lake, that they're treating them chemically this year. And a lot of people, anglers, a lot of fishers, people who go out and fish, I don't want to say fishermen because I guess that's incorrect, but an angler, a lot of them messaged me saying, well, there goes the fishing for the season. So I wasn't aware of that. So I do want to talk to a few people about that. Charter review stuff was being mentioned. Again, I'm against this. The city council wants to, there's those that want to push city council terms from 2 years to 4 years. And I think that's absolutely insane. I don't know why you need to do that. The argument with the mayor, and Mayor Tyre became our first 4-year mayor, was that with all the campaigning, it was like that's all you were doing. There was no time to get things done. I kind of can understand that with the mayor. So I supported 4-year terms for the mayor. I wasn't crazy about it. City councilors, I don't think so. And for a couple reasons. But the big one being, if you have the council being elected when the mayor's elected, and they're both 4-year terms, and if you have 6 or 7 councilors on that council that do not like the mayor, forget it. You're not gonna, that mayor's going to have a hard time getting anything passed. It's going to be a battle. It's not, you can't, there's no need to change city council terms to 4 years. It's growing government in another way that we do not need to do. Why do we need to do that? Since we've had a mayor, and I believe Peter Marchetti is our 38th mayor, if I'm correct, 38th or 39th, something like that. Well, why all of a sudden now do we need to have 4-year terms for city councilors? That's absolutely ridiculous. I hope the public does not go along with that. But if you do, you do. I think it's ridiculous. So anyway, there's going to be the elections coming up this year. Remember, July is the deadline usually, and I'm certain it is this year, to submit your signatures to get on the ballot. So we'll know everyone once they're officially certified by July who is running and who is not. But quite a few names I'm hearing for school committee and city council. So that is exciting. So pay attention to that and run. And if you want to run for office. It should be a fun experience. But the main studio set, when that is done, I've already talked to some people that are running for office, and I'm setting things up already to get that kicked off for that season. So that's, as you guys know from the last video, that's where I've been. It's getting there. So to a lot of the people that contacted me about different charities and different events and all these things happening right now that I usually cover, this year I'm concentrated. I feel like I'm under the gun to get this studio done, and I want it up and running and functioning by the time all the papers are submitted and certified. And July is really when the elections kick off, when you know who's on the ballot. Then people start doing their thing, meet and greets. August it really picks up, and September's the primary, and then then we go into the general election. All right, so that is it. It's a long one, a lot of mumbling, but that's it for now. Pay attention, everyone. Pay attention to what's going on, and there'll be a ton to talk about as I wrap up construction on the rest of the studio. The videos will start to come back in on schedule. And I think I'm also looking for possibly somebody who would be interested in doing some anchoring, some video work like this. So if that's you, and it's something that you think you might be interested in, I'm looking for somebody. It's an idea I have. So message me. Anyway, all right, that's it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, and I'll catch y'all in the next few days.